Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Epic Global, your go-to channel for the latest in US politics. In today's video, we're diving into the most pressing and controversial stories shaping Washington right now. From a deepening government shutdown to internal fractures within the GOP, legal showdowns involving high-profile figures, and aggressive federal tactics, the stakes couldn't be higher. If you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a breakdown of the power plays, drama, and shifting alliances in American political life. Today, we'll unpack 1. What triggered the current government shutdown, and who's to blame? 2. Fractures within the Republican Party as Trump's rhetoric complicates messaging. 3. Legal and judicial battles turning political. 4. The use of federal force, National Guard deployments, executive overreach. 5. What to watch, potential paths forward. Let's get started. First, the government shutdown. As of date, the U.S. has entered its 14th day of a federal shutdown, with key government agencies shuttered and hundreds of thousands of federal employees furloughed. Why did this happen? Congress failed to pass new funding legislation. House Republicans, led by Speaker Mike Johnson, have insisted that no new spending or policy concessions will pass unless the government reopens first. On the other side, Senate Democrats reject a clean funding bill, demanding inclusion of healthcare provisions, including protections under the Affordable Care Act. Impact on everyday Americans. Over 1,300 CDC personnel were reportedly fired, though partially reinstated, amid the crisis. Services like food inspections, national parks, regulatory oversight, and many administrative functions are delayed or halted. Federal workers are under severe financial stress, with uncertainty about whether they'll receive full back pay once things resume. Political blame game. Each side is doubling down. Johnson and Republicans accuse Senate Democrats, especially Schumer, of holding funding hostage for political gain. Democrats counter that Republicans refuse to budge on key priorities on healthcare, and are using shutdown as leverage. This standoff is not just about policy, it's a test of political will, party unity, and who is willing to take the political hit for the dysfunction. The Republican Party, traditionally seen as disciplined on messaging, is showing cracks. Two dynamics stand out. 1. Trump's off-script comments. Recently, former President Donald Trump stated he would like to negotiate with Democrats on healthcare, then later walked it back. That flip-flop undercuts Speaker Johnson and Senate leaders trying to maintain a unified front. 2. Internal factionalism. Some hardliners oppose extension of ACA subsidies. Moderates in the party push for at least partial relief to avoid public backlash. These splits are now playing out publicly. GOP leaders are scrambling. The strategy of forcing Democrats to capitulate is becoming harder when their own side isn't aligned. Trump's unpredictability, ideological purism, and high-stakes maneuvers are opening rifts that could reshape the party's future. Meanwhile, Democrats, though traditionally fragmented, are showing relative cohesion in their demands. That unity may prove an advantage in this high-stakes political duel. Politics in America now blends with the justice system more than ever. Two recent cases illustrate this. Letitia James indictment. New York Attorney General Letitia James was indicted on bank fraud and false statement charges by a politically aligned U.S. attorney. James denounced it as weaponization of our justice system. Civil rights and legal organizations believe this is retaliation against a powerful Democratic figure who's pursued Trump-related cases in the past. Debates over executive authority and troop deployment. In multiple instances, the Trump administration has sought to deploy National Guard forces to domestic cities like Chicago and Portland, citing unrest and public safety. Courts have pushed back, ruling that justifications are weak, and that states must consent. These cases illustrate a larger pattern, leveraging judicial or executive power to advance political goals. If courts become battlegrounds, political polarization intensifies and impartial justice becomes harder to maintain. Perhaps the most visually striking arm of recent U.S. politics is the use of federal force within the country. Deployments to Chicago and Portland. As part of immigration crackdowns and crime control, Texas National Guard units were sent to Chicago. Legal challenges were filed by city and state officials, questioning whether the president can unilaterally override state authority. In Portland, courts blocked a similar deployment, asserting no clear state of rebellion exists. Antifa roundtable and messaging tactics. At the White House, a controversial Antifa roundtable was held, inviting conservative influencers rather than independent experts. The move was criticized as raising doubts about democratic norms and selective amplification of narratives. These shows of force symbolize more than security policy, they reflect a shifting view of executive power, potentially rewriting boundaries between federal and state authority. As the standoff drags on, a few paths forward are possible. 1. Negotiated compromise. The most conventional outcome: reopen government in exchange for concessions on healthcare, funding, or border policy. But that requires both parties to swallow political pain. 2. Trump reasserts control of GOP. If Trump successfully imposes his views, hardline policies may dominate, but that's at risk if fracturing continues. 3. Judicial checks and pushback. Courts will increasingly be a check on extreme executive action. Legal battles over troop deployment, state rights, and separation of powers will intensify. 4. Public backlash and midterm consequences. Closures of services, delays for citizens, and visible dysfunction could fuel voter anger. That may shape the 2026 midterms dramatically. One thing is clear: this isn't business as usual. The institutions, strategies, and boundaries are under pressure, and the winners will define American politics for years. Thanks for watching. The U.S. is at an inflection point. Government shutdowns, internal party chaos, legal warfare, and executive overreach. These aren't isolated stories, they're connected threads in the tug-of-war for power and the future of American governance. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up, share with friends, and drop your thoughts below. Which side do you think will crack first? What outcome do you expect? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated on the evolving U.S. political landscape.